going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of What's in the Bag, Son, where I talk about what I have bought as of most recent, and this time we're going all the way back to May. So I'm showing what I've gotten since May, June, July, and August, which, given 4 months, it's actually not a whole lot that I've purchased. We're definitely doing quality over quantity this month, kind of, although there are some dips that I've taken with dollar bins, $5 bins, stuff like that. But I definitely did grab a lot of boutique labels in the last 4 months. Been definitely in a little bit more of a budget than I have previous months and previous What's in the Bag, Son episodes. But it's not a massive number as it could have been for 4 months long, kind of thing, is basically what I'm saying. What I'm gonna start off with is the films that I picked up for October, which is going to be for my 31 Days of Horror. Future episodes, I think I'm just going to leave out all the 31 Days of October, 31 Days of Horror films in the future because, one, I just want them to be a surprise. Two, they're all first-time watches, so I really have nothing to say about them. And the big thing is just I don't want to show them to my audience or to my viewers before I do the 31 Days of Horror, because the reason I go into the 31 Days of Horror is specifically to view films for the first time, and I kind of want them to be a little bit more of a surprise. But since I've already started showing my 31 Days of Horror films, I guess I'll just show the last bit of them. Some of them I kind of lost track, so I might have shown them in previous episodes already, and some of them I don't know if yeah, I'm just going to be showing them. I'm not going to be talking about them too much. But we have Trauma by Dario Argento. That's going to be in 31 Days of Horror. Savage Harvest. Heard good things about that one. The Incredible Melting Man. Like I said, in future, I'm not going to be showing 31 Days of Horror films, but I started already, so I might as well just finish it. Alice Kills is one of them. Asylum Blackout. This has Ghost Story should be a fun time. I like these classic, really kind of like haunted house type films that they are. We got a foreign choice here with Sorum. I think this is a Korean film. Yep, South Korean film from Tartan Asia Extreme. Should be a spooky good time. This one I bought not for 31 Days of Horror, but I decided to throw it in because why the hell not? This should be a hilarious blast, and that is Frogs. I mean, with a cover like that. I hope it just fits in the Halloween theme, but we shall see. Movie about killer frogs, though, should be a fucking blast. We have The Crying Dead, which seems again like a low-budget indie, spooky kind of killer children good time. And then we have a film that I hear a lot of great things about. Stephen King, Night Flyer. Everybody that I've seen review that film definitely raves it, so I'm excited about that one for sure. So that's my 31 Days of Horror. Like I said, in the future I'm going to be skipping 31 Days of Horror movies for these reviews, but I'm just going to be showing off what is not 31 Days of Horror essentially, and continuing future episodes that way. So starting off with everything else that I've gotten and everything else that I can talk about, we have Weaponized. This was a $5 film, $5 25 Canadian dollars in like a bargain bin that I found. This movie's not good. I watched it yesterday. It's kind of shitty. It has way too many things going on with it. None of it makes sense. It's a very convoluted film. It's supposedly supposed to be about robots, but the robot literally shows up like 2 minutes before the film ends, literally. Like, I'm not even kidding. The film is going to be over in 2 minutes, and finally the robot shows up, and it's taken down, and then the movie ends. Mickey Rourke is in here. It's one of those where they introduce him, and they kind of sell the movie through him, or with him, but he doesn't have a lot to do in this film. I love Mickey Rourke anyway, but it's just a really, really dumb movie. Very, very bad acting. Very, very bad like effects, and boring script that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but the acting is just where it really, really falls flat, and there's not a whole lot of interesting stuff going on with it, so it's not unwatchable or anything, but it's certainly a 1-star film, which is what I gave it. Another $5 one. This is Catch 44. I watched this film a few years ago, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and it always stuck with me though. It's kind of like a Tarantino ripoff, essentially. Like, the director clearly got inspiration from a Tarantino film. The story is kind of told non-linear. It's got a great cast. That's what I love about it. You got Bruce Willis showing up in here, Forrest Whitaker, Brad Dourif is in here. You got Nikki Reed in here from 13. For a few other people that have popped up in other films. I'm not really familiar with their names, but definitely actors and actresses that you've seen before, kind of thing. And it's hard to pass up a film that's $5, but it's even harder to pass up a film that's $5 and has a slipcover, because you know, I'm a slipcover whore. So when you have a film that actually comes with one, although this one has a little bit of the sticker residue on it, unfortunately, which I have to get rid of. But I watched this film a second time, and I definitely enjoyed it more, much more. Still tropey, and it's still, I don't know, like it's, I don't want to, this sounds mean, but it's just a cheap Tarantino kind of rip-off kind of thing. Like, you can see the ambition behind it, and you can definitely tell that the director and the writer, they knew what they were doing. This is a passion project, so I'm not gonna, it's not like a terrible job. It's certainly probably better than anything I could create, but you can tell that, like, they're aiming for Tarantino, but they're just not hitting the mark. It's kind of one of those. But the cast is great, and for the cast alone, I definitely give praise to Catch 44. It's definitely something to check out, especially if it's streaming somewhere or something like that. But yeah, $5 couldn't pass that up. We got Vice, which is a Bruce Willis kind of B-movie later in his career, where again they use his face to sell the film, even though he's not in the film a whole lot. This is the opposite of Catch 44. I watched this for a second time, and I actually enjoyed it less than the last time I watched it. I streamed this on Tubi, and I really thought it was a great film. And then I bought this and I rewatched it again, another $5 one, and it's fine. I remember this film being a lot better than it was. I found it a lot more cheesy. I found the acting not to be on the par from what I remember it being. So yeah, it was kind of a disappointing second watch for me, but could have been worse, and it's nothing that I don't mind having. I don't mind buying it, especially for $5. Like I said, it's aight. I just heard of this film just a few months ago from Mr. Parka's channel. Mr. Parka is a great YouTuber. One of those that I always discover films that I never heard of before from his channel, like other channels, but him especially. You know, if it wasn't for channels like him, I would have never heard of certain films, and this is certainly one of them. So this came out in 1968, came with a slipcover, which I like, and this is called If He Hollers, Let Him Go. This is about an escaped fugitive, an African-American falsely accused criminal kind of thing, who breaks out of prison, and then he ends up in like a really sticky situation where he's being hunted down. and he's being framed essentially, and he's basically on the run. With a title like that, I mean, I'm assuming that this is going to be a product of its time, hardcore, and that nothing in this movie is going to be able to be made today. And although it definitely has its racist themes, it definitely has its, you know, 60s vibes and stuff like that, and certainly has a lot of dialogue, and certainly has a lot of themes that you wouldn't be able to get away with today. It's not as hardcore and it's not as exploitive as I thought it was going to be. It actually is a very, how should I say, engaging story on what this guy is going through, and you follow him, you feel for him, and the story's told in a way that's very, very ahead of its time. Like, I could see this like more like 70s and 80s rather than 1968, I mean. And it's much more mature than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be like straight B movie, like really exploitive, like hard exploitive, like blaxploitation kind of thing going on. But the story is handled actually very maturely and very professionally, and it's engaging. It feels Alfred Hitchcock. If Alfred Hitchcock had like a black lead and had assistance being directed by like Quentin Tarantino. Like if Quentin Tarantino was alive in the 60s and collaborated with Alfred Hitchcock, this would be the kind of film that would be like birthed from those two putting a film together. So it was very unique. It took me by surprise when it comes to the kind of movie it was. I was expecting something, and it sort of was that, but it was much more of other things that I totally wasn't expecting, but all good. So I really had a good time with If He Hollers, Let Him Go. Great discovery, like I said. One of the best discoveries I've had in a while, to be honest. Cheap dinosaur movie, Jurassic City. Any of these like Jurassic whatever sci-fi style films are great. This is one of the better ones. There's some that are just abysmal. Like there's one called Jurassic Hotel that I watched that is completely unwatchable. But then you get one every once in a while like this one, Jurassic City, which is just really well done for what it is. And basically what we have going on in this one is there's these dinosaurs that they were being experimented on Jurassic Park style, and then they go on the loose, and you have these like sorority girls, kind of like ditzy college girls kind of thing, and they're in prison because they steal a car and get into an accident or something like that. So they're put in prison, and while they're in prison, the dinosaurs kind of like break into like the prison thing. So it's kind of like that whole shark movie that came out, like Women's Prison Shark Massacre or something like that, except instead of sharks it's dinosaurs. And the CGI is abysmal. Like it's one of those sci-fi style films, but this one is just so enjoyable, and it's not boring. It's, there's a lot of entertainment and action in it that is very enjoyable. So it's definitely on the plus side of that kind of caliber of movie, and I really had a good time. A good time with it. We have a film by a infamously bad director, but this infamously bad director has at least a trilogy that is a little bit respected when it comes to the film community, and this is his first one. This is Rampage by Uwe Boll. Uwe Boll is infamously, known for directing House of the Dead, which is abysmal, Alone in the Dark, which is abysmal. Most of his films are known to be abysmal, although I don't think Alone in the Dark and House of the Dead is like as unwatchable as some people say they are. But this is one of his better ones. This is basically some guy who basically loses it, and it's kind of similar to that film that had Michael Douglas in it. I forget the name of the film, but where he just snaps and then he goes crazy. It's kind of along those lines, except this one is way more intense. This guy literally just starts AKing everything, so quite triggering. It definitely relates to certain things that have happened in real life before, certain tragic things, terrorism kind of thing. So it's a realistic portrayal. I watched it once. I have to rewatch it again because I want to review the trilogy and actually get in depth with them. But a lot of the things don't make sense. You don't get the perfect direction, which a film like this kind of merits. But there's a lot of things that don't make sense in this film. For example, like character choices and situations where, like, you know, like for example, this guy should be, you know, caught by the police and caught by the SWAT team in the first 20 minutes of the movie, and he's not, and the movie just keeps going for like an hour and a half, and you're just like, okay, come on, this guy would be shot down so fast already. It's crazy. But for convenience purposes, the film just keeps going on, and it's an action frenzy that is not supposed to make a lot of sense, and you're supposed to turn your brain off, and that's the type of movie it is. So for better or for worse, it's fine. It's, like I said, one of Weeble's better films, but it's still cheesy, but I need to watch it again, like I said. We've got Blood Games. This is a Vinegar Syndrome release. I had to get this one off eBay. I watched this on Tubi and I fell in love with it, and the slipcover is sold out now on Tubi. So I found it on eBay for a pretty good price. I still had to pay a pretty penny for this one, but this is just a really great, like, exploitive revenge tale. Basically, you have this baseball game going on between this team of girls and this team of guys, and then the girls beat the guys, and then the guys get pissed off, so they go like attack and basically like rape the chicks, essentially. And they chase them down into a forest, and it turns into this like Rambo situation, except instead of one man, it's like 4 or 5 girls going after 4 or 5 guys, and it just turns into this like blood frenzy in this forest. And there's a lot of violence in it. It's definitely a violent and very exploitive film, but if you like that revenge or rape revenge kind of theme and story, it's really well done. It's really entertaining. I thought, like, for an 80s film of this caliber, this is one of the best. And when I watched it for the first time, I just instantly fell in love with it. I fell in love with the kind of grindhouse theme that it had, and I just had to get it. So as soon as I found it on eBay with its slipcover, yeah, I pounced on that real fast. Another Vinegar Syndrome. This is Flesh Eater, aka Revenge of the Living Dead. This is directed by the guy who plays the zombie at the beginning of Night of the Living Dead. And it's like, some people call this like a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. I don't know about that, but it's really corny. I mean, if you want to talk about atrocious acting, I mean, the acting is just horrendous in this film, and it's just so abysmal, and like, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes and behind the camera, but Jesus, like, wow. is nobody like clearly taking any of the roles seriously. But if you want zombie action and if you want gore, it's one of those like classic cheesy zombie movies that's like a colorized version of Night of the Living Dead about 20 years later. Exactly 20 years later, actually, because this is 1988. And Night of the Living Dead was 1968. And it's fun. It's not a good movie by any means. Like, on paper, it's not a good movie at all. But if you like zombie movies, if you like cheese, if you like that kind of themed film with like all practical effects kind of thing, there's no CGI in this film. If you like zombies literally like opening up the coffin and then zombies going like ah, and like really classic zombie style, it delivers in all those. Another Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome has a sale twice a year, and every time they do, I pounce on them for sure. And this is Alien Private Eye. And I only buy Vinegar Syndromes, by the way, with slipcovers because I'm a slipcover whore. So if they sell out and they're out of slipcovers, I just don't buy the film unless I find it on eBay, like I did with Blood Games. But Alien Private Eye, it's ridiculous. It's really dumb. It's hard. Like, you're not supposed to take it seriously, but it's just like headache-inducing, silly, and stupid. Like, it's really, really weird. This private eye, who's actually an alien, is on Earth, and he's like a private investigator, but he's hiding as an alien. And then there's these like trinkets that they're looking for, that when you combine the trinkets together, it'll like something to do with a far distant planet where this alien private eye is from. They're trying to save the universe, something like that. And then you have this drug story that goes on in here where there's this drug that's very similar to like opioids or fentanyl. It's a very addictive drug, but it doesn't exist on Earth. It came from another planet. So you have this like drug trade story kind of thing going on, but like alien-esque. It's really, really fucked, and it's you have to see it to understand what I mean. But it's not like, it's just so dumb that you're just like, am I even enjoying this? Like, I'm gonna get to another movie that's dumb, but like amazingly dumb. This is not amazingly dumb. This is just like, what is going on? Like, I don't know. It's very hard to describe Alien Private Eye. It's funny, like, you can turn your brain off and just enjoy the dumbness, especially if you're watching it with a crowd, but it's very hard to describe because the story is just absolutely bonkers. This is a film I haven't seen yet. This is the sequel to Rampage, which I was showing by Uwe Boll. This is Capital Punishment, so I still need to see this one. I assume it kind of follows the same kind of similar story, but I haven't seen it, so I can't really say much on it. We shall see when we get there. Funny story, I bought this film, and I was supposed to show it off last time, but I bought this film at a local used video store and they gave me the wrong disc. So they put the disc for Phone Booth with Colin Farrell inside this case. So when I went to see this movie, I'm like, this isn't Lady Vengeance. So I had to go back to the store, and that's why I didn't show this off last video. But then I got the actual disc and I did watch this film, and I heard great things again. This is the third film in the trilogy that, I forget the director's name, but the director of Old Boy. He made a trilogy, Old Boy being the first, and then a second movie, and then this one being the third. I expected it to be better. From what I heard about it, I was expecting a type of film, and I got a different type of film that I didn't enjoy as much as my thoughts were gonna be. I thought this was gonna be like way more raw, way more like action-packed, but it's definitely a lot more psychological, and it has that South Korean humor that is very different than Western humor, and a lot of their sense of style, sense of humor sometimes it's very hard to, especially when they're going like doing their own type of humor. Sometimes as a Western audience, I'm talking about me specifically, like it's hard to get because it's just a different culture kind of thing. So it has a lot of that, and it's definitely a very, very South Korean film. And although it wasn't a bad film, I think it's going to take a lot of rewatches for me to, and a lot of like placing my mindset in the type of movie that it is, because like I said, I was expecting a kind of movie, and I got a totally different kind of movie that I wasn't expecting. So we'll see with that. I'm going to show these two films because I haven't seen either. These were, well, one of them was a $5 bin. This is Imperium. Again, it comes with a slipcover, so I couldn't say no to that. A blind buy. Haven't seen this film, but I love Daniel Radcliffe, and I love kind of raw British films like this one seems to be. So I'm very excited to check that out and see, what kind of film it is, because I'm going in blind. I didn't even read a plot synopsis. I just know Daniel Radcliffe is in it. It has to do with him undercover as an FBI agent or something like that, and it's British, so I'm down. We have a foreign film that I watched the trailer for, and it definitely seemed interesting, so I'm sold on this. This is called Where Do We Go Now? It has to do with like a religion battle, but it's very satire, it's very spoofy, and I think it's like Israelis or Arabs or something like that versus the Jewish or something like that. It's two religions in the same like land kind of fighting with each other, but like in a really funny way. That's what the trailer seemed to be anyway, and it got a lot of awards. So I love foreign cinema, and this one should be a funny time, and definitely, it looks like it packs a lot of humor. It definitely looks like it's going to deliver a lot of laughs, so I'm excited for it. This one I already reviewed on the channel. I fucking loved this film. I discovered this film from Mood 616 from 22 Shots of Moods on YouTube, and this is a Portuguese film. This is a Portuguese trauma film, and I mean, Portuguese, I'm sold right there. A lot of it I already understand without the subtitles because, like, I speak Portuguese, so, you know, 80 to 85% of the film, I don't need the subs to help me out. It's hilarious. It's so funny the way the characters are just so great. It's pure trauma in Portugal, which, you know, so sold on it. When the girl is like, what's this in the back of my head? Or in Portuguese, que isso atrás da minha costas? And the guy's like, uma orelha, uma orelha, meaning an ear, an ear, an ear. Fucking great. Brings back memories of the earlier work of Peter Jackson and Sam Raimi. Kind of true. This is a blast. Like I said, go watch my review. It's on the channel. I loved Mutant Blast. I'm so glad that I was able to find that film locally, because I thought that was going to be a harder film to find, but it wasn't. Never seen this film before, but I love Pam Grier and I love blaxploitation. This is Foxy Brown. I have watched Coffee. I loved Coffee, so if Foxy Brown is just as good as Coffee, I know I'm going to be enjoying this one a hell of a lot, and I'm excited to check out Foxy Brown with Pam Grier because I like the style. I love it, and I love Pam Grier. Pam Grier can never do any wrong. Ingrid Goes West. This is a cool indie film. It's marketed as like just a straight up comedy, but this actually is a very deep film. It's very like psychological, and it's very dramatic. And it's actually kind of disturbing in some parts. It's very deep, it's dark. Like, it's a very dark story, especially when you start to think about it. It's psychologically like thought-provoking, and it deals with a lot of mental illness, a lot, but like in a very intriguing and messed up way. Like, even certain elements I could even relate to when it comes to Ingrid's character and how she deals with things and how she interacts with friends in the world, and like just it touches on mental illness in a really, really modern, realistic way, and it's very, very interesting how they do it. Now, there is comedy, of course, but this film is, like I said, it's marketed like a pure comedy, and it absolutely is not. It's much more deep than the trailers would make it out to be. Very interesting film. I highly recommend this one. I liked this film a lot more on its second viewing than I did on its first viewing. Yeah, I recommend Ingrid Goes West very much. It's definitely a film to be discussed. If you want to watch that film and discuss it with people, that is a perfect discussion piece. Type of cinema kind of thing. I really liked it, and it's highly recommended. I bought this one because it's a sequel to the original Hitman, which I didn't love the original Hitman, and this one is even worse. In comparison, the original Hitman is awesome. I didn't enjoy this one at all. I'll watch it again, of course, but yeah, I don't have any praise with this one. This and Weaponized was certainly the two least good movies that I watched in this file, like by far. It's not a good film at all. This one isn't great either. Again, it's another Bruce Willis kind of later project where it sells the film using his face, even though he's not in it a whole lot. It's not that great. I think I also give this one a 1 star, but it's fine. It's enjoyable. It has a lot of action in it, and there's a lot of like shoot 'em up scenes, and it could be worse. It's just not. If you line up a bunch of later career Bruce Willis films, this one will kind of like be in like the bottom category or whatever you want to say. It's not the greatest film in the world. This is a masterpiece. Okay, I'm telling you. I don't know why this film didn't come into my life sooner. If I had watched this film as a kid, would be the type of film that I would be watching just like over and over. Like, as soon as this film would finish, I'd rewind it and watch it again, and then rewind it and watch it again. This film is so corny and so cheesy and so bromance that it is just, it's a treasure. Like, you have to watch this film to understand what I'm talking about. It's like a Dragon Force song about like friendship and buddies. If like a Dragon Force song was put into, like, if it was turned into a movie, or if it was turned into, like, you know, like if somebody acted out like a Dragon Force music video or something like that. It's really hard to say what I mean, but like the best word that I can describe this film is like bromance. And if you took like everything about Grand Theft Auto Vice City and put it into a film and loaded it with martial arts, like, this is like a martial arts version of Grand Theft Auto Vice City with the most heartfelt, sentimental, like, bromance stuff going on. It's just, oh my god, the fun factor in this film is just insane. It's one of those films that you can literally watch over and over. I could watch this every day and not get bored so far. Like, honestly, I watched it twice already, and it's just, it's one of those lightning in a bottle situations that you don't get films like this very often. You know, you maybe get like one every couple decades that just captures the beauty of the cheese like that film does. It's just, honestly, this is like my honorable mention for the last 4 months. This film has to be watched. Like, honestly, if I'm gonna recommend any film in these piles, or in this pile, you have to watch Miami Connection. Miami Connection is just too good, and it's just, I've never seen cheese like Miami Connection. It's just, it's something out of this world. Honestly, it's fucking insane. I can't believe the director of the film, which is the Korean guy that is the star of the film as well, went bankrupt almost, I think, making this film. Man, what a masterpiece. That's all I have to say about Miami Connection. Go watch it. Go find it somewhere, please, and watch Miami Connection, and then come thank me. Creature, another film from Vinegar Syndrome that I watched on Tubi and had to get. This is like an Alien ripoff, you could say, but it has different themes. Like, I wouldn't really compare it completely to Alien. I think The Creature looks great, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's definitely like a well done piece of sci-fi horror that I strongly recommend if you like films with those kind of themes. It does a really good job for what it is. I really liked Creature. I had a really good time with it. This is the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider. I wanted this for a while. I found it with a slipcover and had to get it. I definitely have my preference on Angelina Jolie's first Tomb Raider over this one. That's how I've always felt about the video games too. I've always preferred the PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 2 ones were fine. But when it came to the evolution of Tomb Raider, I never was the biggest fan of them, but this one definitely plays off like the PS4 video games, and Alicia Vikander does a phenomenal job playing Lara Croft. She definitely delivers in her performance perfectly, and the action spectacles in this film are really, really enjoyable. But like I said, the Angelina Jolie ones definitely play merit to like the PS1 video games that hold a lot more nostalgia for me, so I'll always enjoy them a little bit better, but that is definitely a well-made film with a great performance by Alicia Vikander that there's no complaints to be had about it at all. And then last but not least, we have Gone Baby Gone. This is Ben Affleck's directorial debut with a great performance by Casey Affleck, and you got Morgan Freeman in here as well. This film left me in awe just from the direction and the performances and the story, and Cody Leach actually brought my attention to this film, and I've always liked Ben Affleck as a director, but I'd never really seen this debut from him, and he just nails it. Like, this is such a dramatic film that will literally leave you jaw-dropped, and it's really tense. Like, it really hits the heartstrings. It really, really is one of those films that will stick in your mind, and it's definitely something to be experienced. So, that's what's in the bag, son, for the last 4 months. So that's all I got. Like I said, it wasn't as massive of a pile as I thought it would be for 4 months of collecting films, but it is what it is. Like I said, I spent quite a bit on the boutique labels that I always love. Vinegar Syndrome is one of the best, and definitely loved adding the picks that I got to from Vinegar Syndrome into my collection, especially with those beautiful slipcovers. You can't beat them. But yeah, that's what's in the bag, son, for now. Plenty of more reviews to come, so subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I will be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one, take care, and cheers.